Friendly humans of social studies. This is. There we go. Oh. Okay. This is Tuesday, or no, this is Wednesday. It's been a morning. So be sure that if you haven't, or once you finish the assignment, that you take the attendance quiz for today. Otherwise, if you need help with anything, shoot me an email, hop on the Zoom meeting. The link to that should be on the homepage. Otherwise, we will get started with our topic for today, which is just looking at the different types of maps we may find and what they look like and how they're used and that kind of thing. So our daily objective is to identify those different types of maps, what they're used for, and why maps are not always correct. And then the daily question, which you should have already seen, is, do you think that maps are still useful given today's technology? So first off, there's one question we need to look at, and that is, what exactly is a map? So a map is just a flat representation of the spherical Earth. So sorry to break you all, but the Earth is not flat. And a way to show the spherical Earth on a flat map is to use what are known as map projections. And that's just what people who study maps, known as cartographers, use to create as accurate a map as possible on a flat surface. The three map projections that we're going to study, at least for today, are cylindrical, conic, and flat plane. I want to point out that these aren't the only three projections, but they are the ones that we will more than likely see as we go throughout the year. So that's why I kind of want to highlight them now. The problem with maps is that they're not always right. To create these map projections, to take a sphere like the Earth and put it on a flat surface, you lose something. Usually you lose the true size of a place or the shape of it. So like the shape of a country's borders might change depending on what map you use. So that's why I say that the maps aren't always right. And I'll show you what that can look like here in a minute. So the three maps that we're going to go over are the cylindrical, the conic, and the flat plane. You probably will recognize this one right here. That's the one that's used quite a bit. It is known as a Mercator projection. And it's good because it is helpful in maintaining the true direction of place. So like if you go west from West Africa, you will eventually reach somewhere in the Caribbean or Mexico or the US. You know that if you go west, you'll eventually reach that. What happens though is that the countries at the top of the map near the North and the South Pole are often bigger than they actually are. So like Greenland is a good example, and I'll show you what that looks like here in a minute. But cylindrical projections, think of them as just someone took a cylinder and wrapped it around the globe, and you create this kind of flat map, if you will. The next one is known as a conic projection, and think of that as like somebody put a cone over the top of the globe and kind of projected down. It's good for countries that have a lot of land going east to west, so like the US, Russia. It gives a fairly good representation of what those countries look like. The bad thing is it messes with the other places down the bottom here. So you'll see this occasionally. And then the last one we're going to look at is known as a flat plane projection. And think of that as someone took a piece of paper and just stuck it on the top of the globe and projected down. It's useful for airline pilots because it kind of keeps the same direction like the Mercator and the cylindrical do. But you lose the true shape of the place. So you can kind of see here at the US, it looks more squished together than it actually is. just because of the way this map is projected down. So to show you what this can look like, this website here is called the truesizeof.org, thetruesize.com, and it allows you to take a place like Greenland. If you look here, Greenland looks almost as big, if not bigger, than Africa. It has a square miles of about 2 million, a little over 2 million square miles. And right here, it just looks massive. This is a Mercator projection, so it keeps the direction the same, but it kind of messes with the shapes and sizes of countries near the top. Now, if I drag Greenland down to Africa, you'll notice it gets smaller, and it can fit nicely right there, or here, or the point being, once you, on Mercator projections, the closer you get to the poles, the bigger something looks than it actually is. So Greenland right there looks pretty big, but again, when you drag it towards the equator, it shrinks, and then same thing if you go this way, maybe it gets bigger the closer you get to the poles. So this website is kind of cool if you would like to mess around and play around with it a little bit. It is called The True Size Of, and it's a good way to kind of show you how the maps can change the size and shape of. So that was kind of an interesting way to show you map projections. So with all maps, there's a couple things you should always look for. A good map will have most of these 5 things. It should give you a title, and the title is simply that it tells you what the map is about. Like this map is about Egypt. Okay, there's a title right there. It tells you you're looking at a map of Egypt. A map should give you a compass rose, which just tells you the directions, tells you north is going this way, east is going this way, south is going this way, west, and so on. A map should have a compass rose somewhere on it. It should also have a scale, which is this thing right here. It kind of helps you determine the actual distance of from one place to another on the map. So you could take this scale here and calculate the actual distance from Lake Nasser right here up to Cairo. You could use that scale to tell you, okay, it is this many miles in real life. We don't always use it, but it's a good map should have one, just so you can, if you wanted to, calculate how far apart things were. Another thing a map should have is a legend, which is this white box here, and just tells you what the different symbols on a map stand for. Like the star right here next to Cairo tells you that Cairo is the capital of Egypt. These just normal circles will tell you whether it's a government capital, a town, village. It'll tell you where airports are. So a legend just helps you understand what the different symbols on the map mean. And then the last thing is it should have a locator map. And all this is up here. It tells you, okay, Egypt is this red box square compared to the rest of Africa, Europe. So it kind of a bigger picture of the map you're looking at. It tells you, okay, Egypt is here compared to everything else. With just this map here, you don't really get a sense of, okay, well, where is Egypt at in the world? So that's why they have this locator map, which tells you, okay, Egypt is right here in the middle between Africa and Europe and Asia and so on. So a map should have most of these things. It may not always have all of them, but it should have, generally it should have a title, compass rose, a scale, a legend, and a locator map. So last thing we're going to go over is there are 3 types of maps we will see frequently throughout the year. The first one of those is a political map. And political maps are simply used to show political features of a country or region, such as borders, cities, capitals. Capitals are usually represented by the stars, and a lot of times the different countries will be colored differently so you can identify which is which. So political maps just tell you borders, cities, capitals, that kind of thing. Physical maps, on the other hand, tell you about major physical features of a region, such as mountain ranges, rivers, oceans, deserts, if there are any, islands, and so on. Often they'll use different colors to kind of demonstrate that. So like this one, the redder that the color is, the higher the elevation is. And you'll see it up here along what is known as the Himalayan mountain range. So I think political maps show you political borders, such as country borders, that kind of thing. Physical maps show you physical features. And then the last one is known as a special purpose. And these are maps that focus on specific topics, such as climate, natural resources like this one, or population density, which is just how many people live in an area. And this information can be represented differently based off of what the map is trying to show you. Like this is a natural resource map of China. It has the legend here telling you, okay, these are coal deposits, this is fishing, hydroelectric power, and so on. If this were a climate map, it would probably show you different colors, like a red is a desert, green is grassland, that kind of thing. But special purpose maps just show you specific things about an area. So other than that, that is all I have for today. If you guys have any questions about the assignment on the next page, let me know and I will be more than happy to get that, help you out with that. Otherwise, I hope you guys have a good day and I will see you hopefully